On this episode, we discuss the Garfield movie.
The story of a farm boy who rose to become America's president before being felled by a madman's bullet.
Love lasagna, hates Mondays.
Hey everyone, I'm Dan McCoy.
Hey, I'm Stuart Wellington.
My name's Elliot Kalin. Sorry,
Welcome to the Flophouse.
Just laughing at the way Stuart said his name, which seems like you put a little extra sauce on it. Yeah.
Put some stank on it. That's what Dan told me to do.
Yeah, I said make it extra stanky.
Ask and shall receive.
He was my favorite of the original Little Rascals, extra stanky.
Pull that bottle that says stanky off of the counter and squirt it all over that bad boy.
Put a little extra on there.
This is a podcast where we watch a bad movie and then we talk about it. And this time around, boys, so it's a well-known thing in Dan McCoy lore. Much as
check
anything
the fucking wiki
is a well-known thing in Dan McCoy lore, that my birthday is also the birthday of one Garfield T. Cat.
What's the T stand for?
The.
Oh.
And not just, not just the day, but the first Garfield strip was on the day I was born. And he celebrates his birthday every year on my birthday. So it's an extra treat. I'll open the newspaper. I'll be like, what sort of half joke exists here? What non-humorous, but, sort of slightly smile-inducing thing has Garfield
mostly
done?
Pleasant.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you're really
To celebrate
except for
that. I thought you were talking about your birthday.
No, I like my
your
birthday.
Is mostly pleasant, kind of a half joke,
I mean, other than, the march to the grave that it represents, I'm a big fan. But
March to the Grave is a great title for your metal album, Dan.
Mm-hmm. March to the Grave.
Yeah.
So this episode will be coming out a couple days after, but it's close. And I said, hey, guys.
A couple days after your birthday.
Yeah.
Because the audience doesn't know, unless the audience already knows the date of the first Garfield strip or your birthday, they don't know that this is topical.
Is Juneteenth, a more significant holiday than either my or Garfield's birthday.
I don't know, Dan. You do have an NAACP Image Award. Not a joke.
That is not a joke.
That's a true thing.
It from
Dan, you're saying that Juneteenth is not commemorating the day when the last enslaved people of the United States saw Garfield for the first time.
No. A more
man, they would
important,
have fucking flipped their lids.
Yeah, it's a
this cat's so lazy.
far more significant holiday. But yeah, that's the day. That's the day of my birth. I was not born on Juneteenth itself. That would make me very old.
You'd be very old, yeah. Very, very old, yeah.
But I said, hey, there was a new Garfield movie out. Just why don't you pander to me, guys, for once in your lives. Let's do this Garfield thing.
Yeah, you really had to twist our arms. You really had to bleed, yeah.
Yeah, the man who I think sent out his birthday RSVP 3 months ago.
Hey, you know why that is, though? I know so many people who have birthdays within 10 days of mine. So I really need to stake a claim.
You really need to stake a claim on people's Juneteenth plans.
Yeah.
Because he didn't want them to celebrate freedom when they could be celebrating Dan McCoy.
We're not doing it on the date. That would be crazy. It's a Thursday. No.
Yeah, he needs maximum attendance so that people can fawn all over him.
Okay, all right. Yeah. You don't like attention, Stuart.
I love it.
This is when the cracks start to show.
Yeah, this is who knew that this was going to be the thing that drove us apart was the existence of Dan's birthday.
Guys, can I before we get into the summary of Garfield the movie,
the Garfield movie,
can I give a little bit of setup here?
Okay.
It's been a really long week for me. I've been working a lot at my various bars. I'm physically exhausted.
Yeah.
And I'm also emotionally exhausted from looking at my little rectangular glass thing in my pocket that shows me images of my phone.
That's what you're talking about.
I thought you meant your scrying glass that shows you the future of the people you meet.
I call it a Palantir, but you can call it a scrying glass.
You approached it in the most obvious way.
And it
I thought you meant one of Father and Erie's mirrors that you carry with you. Yeah.
Yeah, it shows me.
You haven't read those books, Dan. You haven't read those books.
Okay, sorry.
Showing me constant images of war crimes and civil unrest and just the worst people in the world stoking tensions on the world to enrich themselves, coupled with various other capitalism type stuff, things that bum me out. And for me, movies are an escape.
Yeah.
So firing up the Garfield movie, I see filmmakers take the simplest idea, a cat that is very lazy, likes to eat, and is sarcastic. And somehow they deliver what might be one of the most soulless things I've seen. But just such a fundamental misunderstanding of a very simple character.
Yes.
Yeah.
And
you're saying that when you imagined a Garfield movie, a character that the audience knows well, this character has been around for nearly 50 years at this point, you didn't think the best story for Garfield, the lazy orange cat, is to sneak into a dairy in order to reunite two cows that have fallen in love and been separated.
Same problem, despite having no particular love for Garfield other than a fondness, for birthday and growing up in the 80s reasons, just like a vague sort of warm feeling.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a funny strip. I don't particularly like it, but I have a fondness for him, so I still have the same problem.
It's certainly no Mutts. It's no Mutts by Patrick McDonald, that's for sure.
Yeah. I definitely have the same problem that Stuart had.
He's more of a shoe guy.
Yeah, Dan loves shoe.
This is a very simple premise that this movie seems to have no interest in. I will argue with you on one thing. I don't know that, people know, like youngsters know Garfield these days, Elliot. No young person is reading the comics page.
Certainly not the same way they did when I was a kid, where every year that new Garfield collection would come out, and it was the top seller of the Scholastic Book Fair at school. Everyone was buying it. Garfield was everywhere. Certainly Garfield was not
sitting around the house,
Certainly Garfield mania is not what it once was. But that being said, if you're going to make a movie for kids about a lazy orange cat that loves to eat, this is as original IP. This is not the movie that you make. Yeah.
We should say, Elliot, for the young people in the audience, Elliot is not overstating the popularity of Garfield. There was a time in which you could not pass a car without seeing that furry orange cat suctioned to the back car.
Garfield was very close to being elected president of the United States, I feel like.
Yeah.
There was a president named Garfield, but I guess they can have two, right? The Bushes did it.
We could do it. Yeah, there's two Adams, two Bushes. And they would have been father.
There were two Adams?
Yeah, and they would have been father and son.
Scott Adams was president?
Yeah, Dilbert Scott Adams was president. Ugh, what a terrible president he would make.
Not
that different from the current one.
Yeah, exactly.
Ugh. Anyway, but but he'd be like if our current president was a vegetarian. That's basically the only difference.
Yeah.
But because Garfield the cat was the son of James Garfield, the original president, so it would have been similar. But Garfield was the most popular comic strip other than Peanuts for years and years, right, guys? I feel like other than the Charlie Brown characters, there was no one more recognizable on the comics page than Garfield.
And television specials. We watched the
whole
TV
show,
series,
Garfield and Friends,
Garfield
which is
and
a great show, which is a great cartoon show.
Yeah, with U.S. Acres. Yeah, hell yeah.
The U.S. Acres, the cartoons, which were it's like they were just saying to America, "Hey kids, use the bathroom for a little bit. Now's your chance."
The Macy's Thanksgiving
Day
balloon with the meme that I love of whoever the announcer was saying. Here comes that son of a gun, that cat, that Garfield, that gigantic thing.
Part of it is, I think for me, the Jim Davis is a really fucking talented draftsman. He's delivering super crisp, clean art that I found very appealing.
Well, his assistants are now
whoever's working for Jim Davis is doing a great job.
At the beginning,
you're not going to knock various manga artists because they have a league of uncredited.
No, I'm just I laugh at the idea that Jim Davis has drawn a Garfield strip since I don't know.
But I mean, he probably drew some of the ones in the 80s.
Yes, sure,
certainly. But this is not a Charles Schultz level of devotion to making it a single man's artistic statement.
Yes. I mean, he wasn't in the fucking movie programming the digital models and stuff.
That's a good point. It's a very good point.
He was like, how can I make this look worse than my drawing?
I mean, again, a fondness for Garfield, and Garfield has a second life now, I think, in memes, stuff like Garfield without Garfields and
because he's such an enormous cultural artifact,
But he did start out too, Stuart has praised Jim Davis. Now I come to bury him. He designed Garfield the stated purpose of Garfield was what would be good for merchandising. He looked around. He was like, okay, well, there's a dog. There's no big cat, and he's like, let me give it a few traits that will be good for, coffee mugs and whatnot.
I may have read this wrong, but I read somewhere, I think that it was either inspired by Charles Schultz or Charles Schultz giving him this advice, that it was like, you should have Garfield stand on 2 legs. Because in those early Garfield strips, he stands like a cat. He's on 4 legs all the time. And then it was like a lightning bolt, inspiration, revelation, that if he stands on 2 feet, he can be that much more kind of like smaller, rounder, expressive, cuter, That's part of the secret. Yeah. He's a bipedal cat,
Guys, let's get into the Garfield movie and find out why it has upset Stuart so much. Why this might have been the thing that broke Stuart Wellington. We're going to find out.
And we should make it very clear, we're not talking about Garfield the movie from 2004. That is a 21-year-old live-action movie. That's one where Bill Murray does the voice of Garfield. Uh-huh. That was the movie which, while promoting it, with Jennifer Love Hewitt went on The Daily Show, and John made her feel bad by accident by talking about what a dumb movie it was. But this is the Garfield movie, not Garfield the movie. So we should all know that.
And Stuart, to set the stage for Stuart's madness, and not my madness, I don't mean insanity. I mean his anger.
It could be both.
Yeah, it did drive it. He did call me up after watching it and say something about how he could see the Fnords and there was non-Euclidean geometry all around him. And I was like, this movie's driven you mad, Stuart.
There's some very key things about Garfield. Garfield is lazy. Garfield is sarcastic. Garfield does not particularly seem to like his owner, John.
Well,
these are all things that are not true of this movie's Garfield.
So they touch on it briefly. Garfield, he's lazy. He's gluttonous. He loves lasagna. He hates Mondays. He hates spiders. He hates this cute cat named Nermal, and he is very condescending towards his ostensible owner. He is clearly the one who runs the house. And that's that's Garfield. Like, that's it. That's all of what's Garfield.
That's a Garfield.
That's
what Garfield means to me.
When a cat hits your eye with like a big lasagna pie, that's a Garfield. So, and this movie kind of hits some of those bullet points early on and then is like, forget everything you knew about Garfield. Time to do something different.
Yeah, so before we get a bunch of backstory, we see like Garfield lives with John. They live in a house. They also have a dog named Odie. Now, Odie is one of, I would say, the biggest mischaracterizations in the movie.
They make Odie smart in this movie.
Yes, and they make them, compatriots rather than, Garfield tolerates Odie at best. I would say.
I feel like the running gag is him kicking Odie.
Yes, indeed.
And also that Garfield uses a phone for quite a bit of the opening of this movie, which seems like a real fuck you to the audience. Like, hey, guess what? You're going to watch this character just using a screen for a little bit.
So we get a little bit of backstory. How did we get here? How did we get ourselves in this mess where this cat is running this man's life? Well, it begins with Garfield as a baby, which I'm like, already we have a cute baby Garfield, and I'm like, that was fucking Nermal, dude. And the whole existence of Nermal was Garfield hating him. Like, why do we have like a cuter version of Garfield?
Because we've got to make the Garfield, this incredibly popular character for 40 years, we got to make him likable. Stu, we got to get the audience on his side. We got to give Nicholas Hoult more chances to do the voice of John Arbuckle with, I have to say, one of the stranger performances that I've seen from Nicholas Hoult, who is an actor I love. I've seen him do so many great performances. I've seen him do so many different interesting voices. And this whole time I was like, this is not the best use of Nicholas Hoult.
Well, also, we have to see Garfield as a kid because we can give him daddy issues, which is the only thing that Hollywood understands.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Daddy issues actually, that's true. It's 2 kinds of daddy issues. Either your dad left you or you're a dad and you don't have time for your kids because you're working all the time. Those are the 2 things that Hollywood understands.
The only daddy issues I like are the People magazine special issue focusing on Pedro Pascal.
That was much more wholesome than I thought it was.
I thought it was going to be much more overtly sexual.
Yeah.
Don't ask Stuart about his bear issues.
So
they keep stealing my honey.
So in Garfield's backstory, he has a father who is a large alley cat named Vic, who abandons him in a alleyway. Go on.
I don't want to stop you right away, but I will. And so the cat, Garfield's voice, as all voices are these days, is Chris Pratt.
Yes.
And the dad is Samuel L. Jackson. And I was torn between being like, well, I'm pro colorblind casting, and being like, is it racist that we're giving him a black-sounding father who abandoned him? Like the deadbeat dad is the black father of a white cat.
Yeah.
Wow, Dan, you are noticing a problematic thing that I feel bad I did not pay attention to. Maybe because I was already so not looking for meaning in a Garfield movie.
Yeah.
I will say, Chris Pratt has got a hard row to hoe here because Garfield's voice, it's a couple different people have done the job, but for me, it will still always be Lorenzo Music, who did his voice in the early specials.
Gets a little Easter egg in the back.
There's a music store in the back called Lorenzo's Music,
which I had to explain to Charlene, and her eyes glazed over immediately.
She was like, "Wait, Lorenzo Music? You mean Carlton, your doorman?" And you go, he was more things than just Rhoda's doorman."
She's like the voice of Peter Venkman in the real Ghostbusters.
Exactly. But yeah, it's how do you guys feel about Chris Pratt's performance as Garfield? He's really putting on an interesting new voice, right?
He is not. I
just doing his regular voice.
Like Chris Pratt has done good voice performances in the past.
Drop a couple on us.
No, the Lego Movie I think is good, and then I was not. I did not really care about like the whole like Mario controversy. I'm like, whatever. It's it's not great, but like.
Pratt is an Italian-American name, right?
Well, I mean, to be honest, the Mario character as a New York Italian-American probably does sound more like Chris Pratt than "It's me, Mario," which is not which is itself a cartoonishly Italian voice.
I'm just saying that I don't think it was like a great voice performance, but it certainly had energy, whereas this has, to my mind, very little energy or effort.
Which I mean, on some level, fits the character Garfield.
Yeah, but
when he is
intentionally lazy.
When he is surfing on food being delivered by a drone because he's fighting evil dogs on top of a train, you do want a little bit of energy from the character.
Okay, so
remind me. By the way, I watched this movie with my younger son. Remind me when we get to the later in the movie to tell you about when my younger son pitched a punch up on one of the jokes in it that I thought was much better than what they had in the movie. I was very proud of him. Yeah.
So we get some backstory. A baby Garfield goes looking for food. He finds Mama Leone's Pizzeria. He sees John Arbuckle about to tuck into some food, and he is like licking the window. And
John Arbuckle is noticeably sad when he sees the families at Mama Leone's, and then he's all by himself. Yeah.
He is. He's a lone diner. And I mean, I feel like that's also like a kind of a weird restaurant to go eat by yourself. Like go sit at the bar.
A family to go to the place from Nighthawk. From Nighthawk's the painting. Like that's where you go when you're lonely. Is an Edward Hopper restaurant. Yeah.
Yeah. But he takes pity on this baby cat.
The movie theater. Why not? It's great theater.
Yeah, why not?
Edward Hopper never painted it, but that doesn't mean it's bad.
Yeah. You can just order food in the movie and then leave when you're done eating. You don't have to.
Yeah, no one sees you're alone because the movie's going on and it's dark in there.
Especially like if you eat gross, like Dan does sometimes.
What?
It means it's dark. No one can see you. Yeah,
I'm just joking. We all eat gross sometimes, right?
I mean, when you're watching The Substance, you got to eat gross, right?
I don't know.
Yeah, that's the special they had with The Substance. Gross.
Yeah, eat gross the way you want to at The Substance.
Okay, so there's some like hijinks in the restaurant where Garfield's eating everybody's food. Doesn't matter. John takes him home. He's like, maybe I'll give this cat up. And Garfield's like, no. They love each other. Takes him home.
The scene where Garfield is eating all the food and John is trying to stop people from noticing it. I turned to my son and I said, "So is this funny to you? Like, do you find this like funny? Are you laughing?
Is this like a clown? Does it amuse you?"
And he just turned to me and shrugged and went, It's like, I don't think he knew that it was supposed to be funny. Like that's how not successful it is as like a joke,
So it does highlight kind of the general like scene structure in a lot of this movie is just make it fast. Make a lot of stuff happening fast, which I feel like on some level it goes against a very lazy cat like Garfield.
Now, can I mention that the director of this picture, so on the low end,
Sidney Lumet?
Yeah. Wow.
Lumet.
How continental of you. On the low end, directed Chicken Little. On sort of the neutral end, Cats Don't Dance. And on the high end, Emperor's New Groove. And
same screenwriter too, right? For Emperor's New Groove.
I don't know about that.
This is Mark Dindal. He's a longtime Disney animator.
Yeah, and I think that this movie has some moments of like successful slapstick, and the problem is it's just tied into a movie that it should not be part of. Like, there was stuff in here that I'm like, well, I could see myself enjoying this if this was not a Garfield movie, which is part of the problem with like the obsession with IP, because like this doesn't feel like a Garfield movie in the first place. So if it's just an unrelated kids movie, I'd be like, yeah, whatever. I mean, it's not really for me, but there's a couple of like laughs in there. Kids would like it.
If it was called Cat Son or something like that, Cat Jr., Cat Williams, something like that, And so but there's a part at the end where Garfield keeps stepping in the way of traffic and all the cars have to stop short and they're getting annoyed at him. That's a funny part. That was timed really well,
Yeah.
But it doesn't feel like Garfield. It feels like something a different character would do.
So we see the passage of time. They move. John moves out of an apartment, moves into a house. They gain a dog named Odie. We see them getting into all kinds of goofy situations where Garfield basically is now running this house. He has a nice big lazy boy, all this stuff.
This shows you, this is another thing I feel like people who make, obviously adults make these movies, not kids. But I think they sometimes don't really get what kids will be interested in, because the transition from an apartment to a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom house is something that I don't think kids need mentioned or to see necessarily. John Arbuckle could just be in a house the whole time. It's not something that a kid cares about.
You're coming out in favor of child labor. You're saying that more children should have been involved.
Yes,
in making
very
this
much
picture.
so. Exactly. With their little hands, they can draw things better.
Dude, all we need to do, I think it's pretty straightforward. We take kids, we shove them in front of that Zoltar machine or whatever, make them big, okay? Then they can give us their fucking ideas, and we can make money.
Get around child labor laws that way.
That's why
Roger Loja. Robert Loja knew what was going on.
Robert Loja knows. That's how you get good toys. It's like there was in the Dogman movie, which we did not do for this podcast, I believe, but which I saw with my children. There's a
should we have done it? Yeah. Give us a missed that movie.
I kind of stopped paying attention partway through, but it's fine. I mean, the Dogman books I came to really appreciate eventually. They get very emotionally rich at a certain point. But the
they're
movie,
about the supporting character who eventually becomes King of the North from the First Law series by Joe Abercrombie.
Exactly. Exactly. That's what it is. But there's a part in it where Dogman is like sad because before he became a Dogman, he had a girlfriend and now she has left him. And I was like, what kid cares about this? Like what kid wants there to be a romantic subplot in their movie about a cop with a dog's head who fights a cat who makes robots?
Well,
like, come on.
There is, like, as soon as they started giving us backstory about how Garfield was abandoned as a child, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing, movie?
Yeah.
Like, we don't need this. And what we also don't need is a sequence where Garfield explains why he hates Mondays.
Yeah.
Like, bitch, part of what makes Garfield so approachable is that this dude doesn't even have a job and he hates Mondays.
Well,
and the thing is, everybody identifies with that. Everybody on the planet hates fucking Mondays.
Yeah, this is not certainly a unique observation. I believe I've seen this out in the universe, but it is odd that Garfield hates Mondays, seeing that he does not have a job. And the reason most people hate Mondays is that they work a regular work week. Not everyone, but many people, and so Monday represents.
That makes sense. That makes sense, Dan. But if I could ask you just one question, isn't there something inherently comical in a cat hating Mondays when it does not have a job? Isn't it almost a ridiculous juxtaposition leading to a humorous reaction or an ironic standpoint?
Much of Garfield is to elicit a gentle nod and being like, yeah, Garfield, food is delicious or whatever. Like,
I don't
Mondays
feel like
are bad.
The comic ever makes that sort of connection, though. Like,
no, you're right. That makes sense. That makes sense.
To...
Comics are better when they explain the jokes and they don't let the audience find them.
Like it's
that makes
it's
sense.
Maybe I'm poisoned by knowing that Jim Davis wanted this to be, a merchandising bonanza, but I feel like his hatred of Mondays feels like something that's just like, oh, this would be good for posters.
You're right. Merchandising is always bad. Like, don't the Peanuts shill from MetLife, Daniel? Don't you love them?
Yeah.
But that's not part of the strip. They aren't like, Snoopy isn't like going up to like Shermie. Like, you got to get a policy.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Because Garfield does a lot of product placement in its comic strip. You make a good point.
No, my
you make
point
a good point.
is the Monday thing is from the comics.
But yeah, so what do you think he's being paid by the No Mondays Council? Like, I understand what is.
I'm saying, like, this will be a good thing to put on a.
You're right.
You're
right. Because art that seeks to connect with humans based on their own personal frustrations, that's bad. I guess
You know,
that's
Columbo,
bad now.
you're getting really irritating. Like,
Wow, it sounds like one of the most famous person in the cast who was clearly the murderer. Columbo, you're getting really annoying.
Lieutenant, this is
know,
getting
Lieutenant,
a little
it seems
annoying
like
right now.
You're picking apart everything.
You're right, Dick Van Patten. You're right, and I shouldn't be asking you all these questions.
Okay.
Columbo, could you just go? I don't want to be in this
I
conversation
literally can't.
anymore.
I'm investigating a crime, and you're the suspect.
Okay, well.
Okay, so
No, but that
Garfield
makes sense.
Nodi.
That makes sense. I should stop investigating the crime and do something else as a police detective.
Garfield
Maybe I should
Nodi,
start reviewing
okay.
restaurants. You're right.
Yep.
You're right. I guess Stuart Garfield.
Garfield Nodi, go to get. I'm still on my first plot card here.
Yeah, but there's not a plot to this thing.
There's too much. Some would say too much for a Garfield movie.
I 100% would say that. I feel like this is a movie that should have just been a collection of incidents.
Too much, but we can bullet point it. I think a collection of incidents would be harder to. Anyway.
Well, that's. That's basically what the Garfield collections were, and those things rocked my shit.
They're bad. I'm just saying it's harder to summarize something when nothing's important.
So Garfield and Odie are trying to get Garfield a late night snack, and when they get kidnapped by Roland, Nolan, and Barry, a large Shar-Pei, a Whippet, and a bird, who are goons. It's always goons around the Flophouse.
Yeah,
should be called the Goon House. That's
a different podcast.
Okay,
it's mostly about lube.
Yep. They, there's a lot to talk about there. But
yeah,
they
there's
are
a lot to yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. It's a complicated subject.
They kidnap Garfield and Odie for their master Jinx. What kind of cat is that?
It's a white Persian cat.
White Persian cat voiced by Hannah Waddingham.
Now these are all celebrity voices because Roland is Brett Goldstein, Nolan is Bowen Yang. Like these, there are some would say that there are unnecessarily famous voices in this, as with many animated movies.
Now I thought you were going to point out these are all new characters. Instead of hanging around with Garfield and Odie and John and Liz, the veterinarian that John annoys, and
what about Arlene?
Arlene, the waitress, right? Oh no, that's his girlfriend,
his
right?
cat girlfriend,
cat girlfriend. But there's also a waitress. Like any of these characters, it's just like no. Here's a bunch of other characters from whatever unrelated script this started out as.
Now, I would say...
Well, we'll address each of these characters in turn, I'm sure.
Yes,
we'll give them a real ranking.
And I would say as much
a
as
real hot or not ranking,
as much as giving Garfield a sad backstory, I think is a misstep. This is where the movie really, I was like, oh, okay, I don't know what this movie is going to be. Like, I don't know what's going on here. When Garfield and Odie are kidnapped by these genuinely menacing, unpleasant characters,
Garfield and Odie get kidnapped by Jinx using her through her henchmen as an attempt to draw out Garfield's absentee father, Vic, who is some kind of like ne'er-do-well type scoundrel cat. Mm-hmm. A real McCavity.
Yeah. He's like a low-level McCavity, maybe even more of a Bustopher Jones.
Yeah. Now, Vic is the absentee father who abandoned baby Garf, and Garf found John. Jinx needs
We've done jokes about the world according to Garf at some point, right?
Yeah, of course. Now, also, there's some additional backstory where we learn that Jinx wanted to be like a special cat, but wasn't successful, and then fell in with a bad crowd stealing things. This is all dumb bullshit.
Unnecessary.
So much backstory.
Just be a villainous cat. We don't need to know the tragic reasons that pushed this cat towards crime.
I do like some of the character design on Jinx. I like the way that I like her kind of like bell-shaped body, and I like that she has this like string of gems that glow different colors based on her mood. I think that's interesting.
They do some
everything else I don't like.
Every time she switches from friendly to evil very quickly and back, the lighting changes. That all looks really cool.
It's fun, yeah.
It does feel like a character from a different movie, but it looks cool. Yeah.
And they occasionally like play that up by like showing her henchmen actually using like a flashlight to cause lighting effects. I think that's fun. Yeah. But Jinx needs Jinx.
Do you ever wonder how they made their base in this abandoned mall and how they got Garfield and Odie hanging? It seems 200 feet in the air. from the ceiling of this mall?
I did not wonder that, despite my
Love
the
that
lies
shit,
that you
yeah.
say about how I love backstory.
Yes, you must have been loving all this
slander.
Jinx stuff. You must have been so excited about
I
it.
was not wondering
Yeah.
about any of it. I just accepted it because it was a cartoon.
So, in part of her backstory, Jinx was running around with Vic and committing crimes. And while she was betrayed by Vic when they were trying to steal some milk from Lactose Farms is the name of the thing. And as a lactose intolerant person, I am not a fan of this. This makes me upset. Also, it makes me upset to see a cat drinking milk all the time because I know that gives cats diarrhea.
Yeah, it's bad for cats. But I mean, I would think that you're happy that this milk is being stolen and thus taken out of the
That's
ecosystem.
true. Yeah, it's less likely to go
I
into
mean,
my
I don't know
mouth.
this was all cat milk. This is,
What?
Okay,
I think humans who can process lactose probably were going to get some of this milk. Yeah.
No, I'm saying it won't go to stew.
Yeah, it won't go
Yeah,
to me.
you're right.
That's the important
Because if cats aren't stealing it out of the factory, Stu has to drink it. That's the law.
Legally.
Well,
So she, the deal.
Whenever America and Russia signed the first SALT treaty, Stu always lactose tasting. That stated that Stuart, to keep peace between the two nations,
God
Stuart
damn it,
had
it
to
works.
drink a lot of milk. Yeah, it's always been bad for you. Yeah.
So using some questionable leverage at this point, Jinx convinces Vic, Garfield, and Odie to go back to Lactose Farms and steal a very large quantity of milk as kind of payment for the time she spent in the pound.
This was something that my younger son also explained to me. He said, "Why does she want all that milk? It's going to go bad before she can drink it." I'm like, that's a good point. That's a very good point. You can't.
One cat can't drink that much milk.
No, it's not. It's not the most shelf stable treasure.
Well, also the street value of milk is almost nothing because if someone tries to sell you some milk in the street, you're like, where did this milk come from?
Well, it's like
How
a
old
car.
is this
The minute you take it off the lot, the blue book value goes way down, just drops.
So our heroes set off riding the rails. They sneak aboard a train car. Yep, Dan.
Now, this was like the moment in my life where I felt the most like the comic book guy, like the nerd. I guess it wasn't the comic book guy, but it was in the one Simpsons episode where it's like you hit the skeleton in the same place and it made two different sounds. Like
he hoped someone was fired over that.
Yeah. I was watching this. There's a part where Garfield is shot from like a tree limb through the train. He goes through an open train car, goes out the other side, and then bounces back and goes through the same train car. And I'm like, no, that train car would have gone forward.
Yeah.
Like, there's no way he could go through the same train car. And I was, and then I was like, what am I doing? Why do I care?
Dan, I hate to say it, I had the exact same thought process. Where I was like, he wouldn't have been able to fly back to the same train. But then I was like, it doesn't matter. It's the Garfield movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
this was also one of those times
through
when
the same train car multiple times. It's totally hilarious.
This is one of the times when I started to say it also, and my younger son turned to me and he goes, "Don't just complain through the whole movie. Don't just tell me you don't like the movie." And then he wasn't enjoying it. When it was over, I was like, "How was it?" And he goes, "Eh." But he was like, "Don't just tell me what's wrong with the movie."
Oh wow, yeah. So your son's a polite Midwesterner who doesn't want to speak up.
Exactly.
You got to break him of that habit. Okay.
Oh, trust me, he speaks up.
So we arrive at the farm, Lactose Farm. Unfortunately, security is increased quite a bit since the last time Vic was here. Mm-hmm. It's all high tech and intense. Luckily, they meet Otto, a purple bull, who I thought was a yak for a while, but I think he's a bull. The former Ving Rhames, who I can guarantee you recorded all his lines while seated.
But I'll say this.
While wearing a cool hat.
But I'll say this. I think my favorite performance in the whole movie.
I think he does give the funniest voice performance, for sure.
Yeah. So this character was the former mascot of Lactose Farms, Otto the bull, who it was him and a cow, Ethel, and they were deeply in love, but something happened and he got kicked out, and she remains, I guess, under lock and key by the farm. Is that correct?
Yeah. So they want to heist the milk, and he's going to help them if they can heist the cow as well, essentially.
Why heist the cow if you can heist the milk for free,
It's a good point.
While they're training and
I doubted
preparing,
myself.
while they train and prepare, Vic, I think we get Vic's backstory here. I think this was involved. They get tied up to a tree, and Garfield and his dad get in an argument. And we get Vic's backstory where he didn't actually abandon Garfield. He went off trying to get food, but then he showed up too late, and then he saw Garfield with John, and like, it's fucking stupid. And he was like, "Oh, I guess my son's better off with this human," which is, I'm like, yeah, he probably is.
I mean, yeah, the
he won't be
human
in a
can
box
buy
in the
food
rain. Yeah.
rather than having to scavenge it. But I don't know.
He'll probably get fixed.
In so much as anything in the Garfield
unhealthy.
movie elicited any sort of pathos for me, there were some mild twinges when I saw like the dad being like looking at Garfield being adopted basically in front of his eyes and being like, I guess it is for the best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not since the story of Moses has someone had to see their son be taken for their own safety, and it had such pathos to it, and such importance.
Yep. Garfield is sort of the Moses of cats.
So Otto, who has an understanding of the layout but is much too large to sneak in, stays back. They all put acorns in their ears, which work as like radios.
Yeah, they're like little walkie-talkies. Yeah.
Our cats and dog friend all sneak in pretending to be backpacks. They go around inside this high-tech facility, which is very much like a bunch of modern animation bullshit. Like there's a scene where like Garfield is almost getting chopped up or shredded like cheese, and you're like, it's all the fucking the mayhem conveyor belt sequence from episode 2 Attack of the Clones, right? Where like stuff's about to smash him the whole time.
I got so mad. There's a part, he's on a big block of cheese, and these big cleavers are chopping it up, and he keeps running back and forth along the block of cheese. And I was like, Garfield, you exist in 3 dimensions. Go forward off the cheese.
Yes.
Get out so you're not within reach of the blades. And I was
Garfield
like, just
can't hear you.
I kept shouting and shouting, but he couldn't hear me, Dan. He couldn't hear me. What was going on? I was worried about him.
And I'm like, at what we have strayed so far from the sarcastic cat who sits around complaining about shit.
The fact that he is running through a high-tech action sequence.
I hate it. Meanwhile, Jinx makes a phone call to Marge Malone, the head of security at Lactose Farms, voiced by Cecily Strong, who gives a pretty fun performance, I guess. She's fun.
That's fine.
Yeah, sure.
And using a phone app that will be used repeatedly throughout the movie, where the cats and dogs can change their voice to sound like a human
So
voice.
here's the thing, this really got to me, because what this means is when Garfield is talking, he's talking. Like he's speaking out loud. And in the Garfield comics, again, I hate to be the comic book guy, John cannot understand Garfield. Garfield doesn't, when he can speak to other animals or spiders or whatever while he's thinking. But the idea that if the animals can use this app to change their voices, why doesn't he just talk to John? Why doesn't he talk to any human being?
Yeah,
part of the joy is
humans can use it to translate the animals. Yeah.
And part of the joy is that John, like, it's Garfield reacting to John being an idiot. Like, it's him, like, running a monologue and, like, talking shit.
Well, also, like, I understand why the security person needs to be able to translate this for plot reasons, but it was it was a much funnier joke. I mean, not that I was like, ha, 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 but it's a much funnier joke when, the Jinx is, like, calling up and, like, trying to frame the cat, and, like, then you cut to the person on the other line, and they just hear meow, 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 meow.
But like this app, it fundamentally changes the nature of human-animal relations in a way that this movie it's like in Zookeeper, how we talked about how the lion is like, we could always talk, we just don't say it because it freaks people out. It's like, really? You don't want to tell people to stop killing you and putting you in zoos? Because it seems like that's a good use of language, but it's
one of the top uses.
No, they don't. Being freaked out is worse.
It's a little bit like watching a romantic comedy.
Polite.
If there's a romantic comedy where the guy's like, I really got to impress my date, and he goes, I guess I'll fly, and he just starts flying through the air, I would be like, whoa, whoa, whoa. This movie has just fundamentally changed what it's about. I can no longer care whether these two get together now that I know that man has conquered gravity in this movie.
They infiltrate the complex. They think they're about to close in on the keys, but turns out that Marge Malone, head of security, is there. She talks some shit, and then Vic manages to snatch the keys and leave Garfield and Odie behind. He betrays them, and he drives away with the milk truck. Again, questions of how a cat is able to drive a car is not really addressed.
Yeah, it seems like
fine.
he's big enough to fit in the seat and hit the pedals and the wheel. And also the truck itself, this milk truck, it looks like one of the war rigs.
So the size
from
of the
Mad
cat
Max.
was the issue for you, Elliot,
Can
not
I-
the fact that the cat knows how to drive.
I mean, at this point, I gotta buy a certain amount. I know
Sure,
it bothered
sure.
me that you have an animal translating app and it has not revolutionized human society. But at a certain point, it is a cartoon, and I got some things I gotta just go along with.
I'm sure we'll talk about each of these OCs in time, but I do want to point out that I think it's a mistake.
County?
Original characters.
Okay.
Oh,
I think it is a design flaw to make Garfield's dad just bigger than Garfield. Garfield should be the biggest of them. He
it
should
certainly
not
makes
be,
Garfield look less like a lazy, out of shape cat if his
Yes.
dad if he's one of the smaller characters in the movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
They're
will say it is a little weird also that Garfield at the end of the movie cooks dinner for everybody, and John is not like, holy shit, my cat is cooking.
And then it turns into one froggy evening. He
He opens
"My
a
cat can
restaurant.
cook."
You got to see this cooking cat. He won't do it for anybody else. Yeah.
Not on Mondays, John. What?
Oh, that's a good joke.
We shouldn't have called the restaurant Mondays. The restaurant that's only open Mondays.
So,
TGI Mondays.
for their crimes, Garfield and Odie are
Thank
stuck in the
Garfield
pound.
it's Monday.
And they, while they're in the pound, they connect with a few of Vic's former crew who are all there, all voiced by more celebrity voices.
Yep. Snoop Dogg is one of them.
You got Snoop Dogg, you got Janelle James, and you got Angus Cloud, R.I.P. in a final performance, which is wild. And that basically just kind of fills out a little more of Vic's backstory. More time spent talking about a character that isn't Garfield. The John shows up and he springs Garfield and Odie from the pound. They're about to tuck into a massive lasagna feast that John has prepared. He had been going out of his mind missing his pets, which I understand. If my pets were missing, I would be devastated.
Yeah.
And that's when Garfield pauses. He stops eating lasagna for a moment because he remembers the words that Vic may have been watching him while he was growing up. So he goes out to the tree that he believes Vic was hanging out in, and he sees a plethora of hash marks that Vic had made every single time he came to visit his son, which is also a weird thing to do. That every time he came to watch Garfield, he put a slash, and then he would bundle his sticks. He would do full fives as a bundle all over this tree.
This is how long I've been in prison, Mark.
Yeah, it's kind of wild.
Well, there's a cut scene where he talks about how much he was influenced by the Batman villain Zaz.
Yes.
So that's why he
makes
loves those
sense.
hash marks. Yeah.
Yeah, if you were to shave Vic, you would see that his body's covered in this.
So, I mean,
Exactly, yeah.
I get that he's supposed to be ashamed of everything or whatever, and he wants to keep he doesn't want to confuse Garfield maybe by re-entering his life, but this revelation feels pretty empty. He was here watching me from a distance this whole time, never making contact. Great, that shows that he loves me.
Not since the story of Moses, when Moses' own mother was, I believe, hired as his nursemaid and could not reveal her identity to him.
I would say the idea of a shameful cat father is fundamentally not cat-like.
No.
I feel like cats that's part of Garfield's appeal, is that cats are kind of jerks. I love them for it, just like I love Garfield. But cats are not that's more of a dog trait.
What I think is really the bad thing is that they didn't take this opportunity to do a parody of the song "Somebody's Watching Me" by Rockwell, called Some Daddy's Watching Me, which I think would have fit this scene perfectly.
Or a Cats in the Cradle bit, because, they're cats.
Cats, Dan, other songs that could have fit this?
They could have changed it to Garfs in the Cradle.
I was too busy internally arguing with the idea that cats are jerks. And
the normal spoon.
You have to meet them at their level. They're not going to give their love
Feline
unconditionally.
eyes are watching you. That could be another one. You know?
Yeah, it took you a little while, but you got there.
I got there. It took me a little bit of time to think out about it.
So with this revelation that Vic actually loves him and was a good dad.
Well,
not a bad dad,
good
soccer
dad, but that his dad that he cared about him.
Yeah.
You know.
So they rush over to the mall that was Jinx's hideout, and using the evidence dungeon that Jinx had left, they discover that Jinx's plan is to get on a train and throw Vic off of
off the Mile High Bridge. Yeah.
What a clever plan.
And also, but it's playing off of the famous Garfield landmark, the Mile High Bridge. We remember all the amazing Garfield stories that are set around this famously high bridge, right?
Mm-hmm. So they, using their acorn earpieces, they contact Otto the bull, and they get Otto to agree to help them save Vic by doing a train job.
Otto's help seems not really necessary, and here's one of the things
until the very end.
Until the very end, but they wouldn't have known that was going to happen. But so he's like, you're going to get on that train, and then just as it hits the bridge, you'll jump out with your dad, and you'll land in a net that Odie is tying. And while they get on the train, it takes them a little bit of time to get to the bridge. So I was like, why don't they just jump off the train before they get to the bridge, so they don't have to fall a mile into a net? That seems like a better plan in some ways, you know.
So this leads to a bunch of action and silliness.
Hijinks.
And Garfield saves the day by calling in 6,000 food delivery drones. So he's like surfing around on pizza boxes and eating, I think he eats hot sauce and breathes fire on people.
This is really just a holding action, though, because by the time he's done with this whole action sequence of using food as weapons, everything is exactly back where it started. He's still dealing with the same bad guys on the same train. So he's accomplished very little with this set piece.
There's a lot of also product placement in this film. At the end, I believe he explicitly orders online from like FedEx delivers it, and but there's is it Walmart? I forget what, like Target or something. Like it's all branded very obviously for an animated movie,
and all that free advertising for Mama Leone's Pizza.
Sure,
is that a real pizzeria? Okay,
no, I don't think so.
You never know, man. I don't know. I don't know all the flyover states.
Yeah, you don't know where the cool cats eat.
Okay, so by the end of this train adventure, Jinx's goons turn on her. They don't want to do her dirty work no mo.
In what some would call an arbitrary plot twist.
I just want to highlight I teased to you guys on text that there was one time when I actually laughed out loud. It was when they jump off the train, they go to the net, and they said like Garfield meets Vic Vic is bouncing back up, and they meet in the middle, and he goes, "Net's too tight," or something like that, and they both just like go right back onto the train after
that was a funny moment.
Escaping the train. I thought that was a funny
good joke.
Stuff. Yeah. One time I did not laugh was when Garfield goes, "That's right, I do my own stunts," and then pause, and me and Tom Cruise, and it was like. Yeah, like it's not funny to say Tom Cruise does his own stunts. Like that's not a joke. That's just a.
Did you just put that in there in case Tom Cruise is watching the movie in the movie
said,
theater?
I also do my own stunts.
Leonardo DiCaprio meme.
Yeah, so he would then after the movie go up to some employee at the movie at the AMC and be like, "Hey, they mentioned me in the movie."
Yeah, he's tossing popcorn in his mouth like a madman. He's like, "Did you see Garfield? The Garfield movie talked about me."
He'd have to go to David Miscavige and say, "Make all the Scientologists go see the Garfield movie. They mentioned my name in it." If you're going to do that joke, make a joke about an actor who you don't expect to do all their own stunts. That's a joke, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, who'd that be, Dan?
Oh, I don't know. Paul Giamatti.
I mean, Paul Giamatti.
I feel like
anything.
he might do it actually.
But if he was like, I do all my own stunts, me and Tyne Daly, I'd be like, okay, that's a joke.
Okay, so in the process, not only do they survive.
Wait, I apologize. We missed where I want to tell you about my son's punch up.
Oh yeah, please. I
was fucking aching for this one.
Yeah, sorry. Otto is about to launch Garfield onto the train, and Garfield says to him, "If I don't make it back, tell my story," which is kind of like, okay, it's kind of a boilerplate line. Yeah. And my son turned to me and he goes, "He should have said, if I don't make it back, serve lasagna at my funeral." And I was like, that's a much better line. Yeah,
it's a better line.
It's more Garfield. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they manage to, in the process, they survive and they capture Jinx. They trade Jinx to Marge Malone, using the voice changer
this
app.
Amazing animal translating voice changer
They trade
app.
this criminal cat in exchange for the cow mascot Ethel, this is a wild idea that
Yes.
the head of security is like, okay, yeah, you can have this cow because I need to punish this cat.
You can have the mascot for the company, whose worth must be in the millions. It's a big company.
Millions, yeah.
In exchange for this criminal cat, who I'm going to do what with? Why is this of use to me?
Yep. So of course they trade they trade Ethel the cow, who walks over there, sees Otto, and then Let's Get It On plays, and we're like, I guess they're fucking.
Yeah. Yep, that's what they're doing.
Cows
All
are
right.
getting it on.
I mean,
Yeah.
I get it. Like, again, Ving Rhames gives a really good performance, and I mean, I'd say that's a pretty hot cow.
I mean, I guess. I don't have.
I've seen hotter. I've seen less hot. You know.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, and then so they get back home with John, and after a moment's hesitation, Garfield invites Vic to live with them. So now we have this new character all the fucking time.
Yep.
That
part of the family.
really blew my mind. Again, I have this base level of familiarity fondness with Garfield, but I don't really give a shit about Garfield as an artistic endeavor because I don't believe it is. But it still
What about
blew
the 9
my
Lives
mind.
of Garfield? That's a pretty.
That's a good one. That's actually good.
They do some strange things with that book. Yeah.
But it blew my fucking mind that this movie ends with and now this new character, Garfield's dad, lives with them.
You're gonna love this.
It's canon.
And there's in the montage, there's the briefest moment where you see Nermal, and I'm like, where the fuck was Nermal this whole movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Why?
There's
Okay.
a
before
part
we
where they're eating cereal, and it's
Abu
got
Dhabi, probably.
It's that's a good point.
He's still coming back from Abu Dhabi.
Yeah,
That
there's a
makes
part where they're
sense.
eating cereal, and Binky the Clown is on the cereal box, and I'm like, can't wait to see that clown in this. Oh, wait, no, not going to happen. Not in the movie. Just an
So-
Easter egg for the fans.
So again, Nermal's barely in it. We get none of the U.S. Acre dudes, including that fucking shell with the leg sticking out.
Oh, he's the best,
called
yeah.
Shelby.
So let's talk about the
Shelbert, is that his
OCs,
name?
okay? I'm assuming these are all original characters.
I think it's Orson. I know that.
So we have Vic.
Yeah.
What are our thoughts on Vic? I've already said I don't like him. I think he should
Not a
be
fan.
bigger than
I
Garfield.
don't care
not
for
a fan.
Vic. I
Don't
mean,
care about him.
It's not Vic's fault so much as it's just I don't like this. Oh, we got to have a dad problem.
Who has
Well, and
so
also-
much time?
If
Yeah.
it's a Garfield movie, why are you introducing a new character and giving them kind of equal weight with the main character?
Yeah.
Why are you doing that?
We got
Not since
Roland,
Walter in the
the
Muppets.
Yeah, well, it's a very Walter situation. Very much. With hey, people love the Muppets. You know who they want to see? A new character who's not even a fucking animal.
you got Roland and Nolan, the two goons, the Sharpay and the Whippet. What
I
do
mean,
we
I'll give
think
them
about
credit
them?
for having one big guy, one little guy. That's a classic
Yes.
comedy,
Yep.
physical dynamic. Otherwise, they seem to have very little personality. There's nothing
They're
particularly
threatening.
funny about them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a first thought idea to have Brett Goldstein be a growly character, but he did a good job at it.
Mhm.
I feel-
Ray Winstone wasn't available.
Yeah. Nolan, I feel is a sub Weasel from Roger Rabbit type of villain. You know,
I mean,
not-
but those
not
are
quite there.
those are fucking
Those guys are great.
S-class
Those guys
villains.
are great. Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are they're up there with Salacious Crumb when it comes to bad guy sidekicks.
If those guys showed up in almost any movie, I'd be like, hell yeah.
You're watching Oppenheimer. We got the scientists for the project, and it's
Jesus
those
Christ.
weasels from
I mean,
Roger
those
Rabbit.
suits would fit, dude.
It's the time
They would
period.
fit
It's
right
the right
in
time
there.
period. We need these
They would
suit
get along
weasels.
they would get along so well with fucking Robert Downey Jr.'s character.
For sure. Yeah. Do we really need the one who's just brandishing a straight razor all the time? You know we do.
You know we do.
He's going to use that to split an atom. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, God damn it. And
Oh,
you know
and then
when they
when
show
they-
up in any movie, I'd be like, Shar. I know we're watching Portrait of a Lady on Fire, but the weasels just showed up.
Paul Giamatti, there's a couple students you have to chaperone over Christmas at the school. Oh, no, it's those weasels.
Even the one that's just laughing and bonking himself on the head all the time. Okay.
Yep. The one with the beanie? Sure, yeah.
Yeah.
They're all students at this private boarding school, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, man.
If you
Well, what
got
it is- okay,
rich
but-
weasel parents, you can get in anywhere, no matter how goofy you are.
And most of them end up leaving, so it's just Paul Giamatti and that one weasel. Yeah,
Yeah.
sure.
Just the one weasel. He has a name. Okay, so we've talked about them. What about...
I feel like this is a whole mini we should do, is just inserting those weasels into other movies.
What about Otto and Ethel, our cow
we don't
characters?
get to know Ethel that much, but I'm sure she's wonderful because I'm fond of Otto. So
I think Rams's performance is strong. I feel like they do not belong in this movie.
Yeah.
No, but his performance is strong. And also, I will say this, Otto's personality, which is kind of like bitter and resentful and sarcastic and condescending, that fits in a Garfield story.
Yes.
Like that's the kind of personality that Garfield should have, as opposed to smiling all the time and being like, I love my life, I'm Garfield. But I think that Otto, at least, it doesn't make sense for them to be helping a bull rescue his girlfriend from a from a milk farm. Doesn't make sense from a dairy. But his personality, at least, I could see a couple
like a
weeks
sub-Aardman animation style milk factory.
Yes, very sub. Yeah, but I could see a couple weeks of the Garfield strip where they like go to a farm and Garfield is dealing with Otto the bull for whatever reason. Like they're there on vacation or something like that.
Yeah. And I think, I guess, and Jinx the cat. I've mentioned I like some of the design elements of Jinx, but also very unnecessary character.
Very Secret Life of Pets rather than Garfield.
Yeah. This is like a Beverly Hills Chihuahua, but a cat and mean.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So I think it's time for what's that, Dan?
It's final judgments. Whether this was a good bad movie, a bad movie, or a movie we kind of liked. I'm going to say bad. It is not a Garfield movie, let alone the Garfield movie.
Dan, check the poster. It's the Garfield movie.
And again, like I think if it wasn't billed as a Garfield movie, I'd be a little easier on it just because I have no preconceived notions about what something should be. And normally I don't really care, but it's like, why do it this way? Why approach it this way? It's so weird. There's stuff in here that I'm like, like this would be perfectly fine for a small child. There's nothing offensive in here. Like there's some like fun slapstick stuff, but for full-grown men such as us who should not be watching it anyway, I say it's a bad movie.
We're all big boys here. We're grown-ups,
beefy boys.
Mm-hmm. So I don't, I don't work in animation. I don't have a lot of experience working in animated things that might involve talking animals. Of the three of us, I have the least experience with that. But there was just something that felt so like they took Garfield, a character that I really cared about a lot for some weird reason. And obviously I know it's like, it's a brand. Garfield is this weird cultural icon, but it just feels so strange to see this, just to see this character misrepresented this way, and this character just kind of like stuck into a movie that he does not belong, and he is not. It's like, it'd be one thing if it was like, we're going to take Garfield, but we're going to put him in like Barry Lyndon or something. I'm like, well, he doesn't fit in there, but it's still Garfield. But like, he's not. He doesn't feel like Garfield.
But if you put those weasels in Barry Lyndon, oh man,
my God, they would
be
fit
so much
perfectly. Okay, so yeah, this is a bad movie, and I don't know, like it just feels so emblematic of like an industry that is built around like cut and paste style stories and just like churning out garbage. That's what it felt like. Not to be too cruel to the people making it.
No churning out garbage. I think that sounded very, very constructive criticism.
I feel like the people who worked on it, I feel like there is most likely an executive department that is more to blame than the people who worked.
Oh, almost certainly. So I'm also going to call this a bad movie. Like Dan's saying, it's not offensive. I don't love there's not that much of like, here's a joke for the grown-ups, wink wink, in it. It feels like a misreading of what the things that people like about Garfield, the character, are. Now, I could be wrong. Again, the movie made, according to Wikipedia, it made $250 million at the box office.
What?
On a $60 million budget. So it did okay.
There were no other kids' movies that same weekend.
Probably. But judging also by my older son, he was with us when he was little when we did the Boss Baby Family Business movie. He really enjoyed that. My younger son really enjoys that movie. I don't love it, but they really enjoyed it. This one, watching with my younger son, he just was not that into it. It was not that entertaining to him. It was not that funny to him. So I could almost buy it on the level of it's not for me, but a kid would like it. If I saw a kid liking it, that it feels like it didn't reach that bar either. And so again, it's not so offensively bad that I'm like, ugh, 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 ugh. But it just it fails to justify its existence in a way, other than that there's money to be had in Garfield. So next time, Hollywood, when you do a Garfield movie, maybe just try to make it more Garfield-y. Like he doesn't need a big backstory. Don't need big action stakes.
Paul Giamatti would be a great Garfield.
Paul Giamatti would be a great Garfield.
If they don't animate him, put him in a cat suit, like
I
a
would do the
physical
same
cat
thing.
suit.
Live action Paul Giamatti Garfield. It's right on the shelf there with the Wallace Shawn Ziggy that they should have made. Like Paul Giamatti would be a great Garfield. Yeah.
Hi, everybody. It's Ellen Weatherford.
And Christian Weatherford.
People say not to judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree.
But we can judge a snake by its ability to fly, or a spider by its ability to dive.
Or a dung beetle by its ability to navigate with the starlight of the Milky Way galaxy.
On Just the Zoo of Us, we rate our favorite animals out of 10 in the categories of physical effectiveness, behavioral ingenuity, and of course, aesthetics.
Guest experts like biologists, ecologists, musicians, comedians, and more join us to share their unique insights into the animal kingdom.
Listen with the whole family on MaximumFun.org or wherever you get your podcasts.
The wizards answer 8 by 8. The conclaves call to demonstrate their arcane gift, their single spell. They number 64 until a conflagration. 63 and 62 they soon shall be, as one by one the wizards die, till one remains to reign on high.
Join us for Taz Royale, an Oops All Wizards Battle Royale season of the Adventure Zone, every other Thursday on MaximumFun.org or wherever you get your podcasts.
This podcast is brought to you overwhelmingly by the support of listeners like you who are members at MaximumFun.org. But we do also have a sponsor this week, and it is Squarespace. Maybe you want a website. Maybe like Garfield without Garfield has already been done, but maybe Garfield with extra Garfield. Like just stick a ton more Garfields in the strips. You could do that with Squarespace, which gives you everything you need to offer services and get paid all in one place. Now, I don't know how you're going to get paid from this extra Garfield situation, especially because that's IP that's not owned by you.
You'll get sued. Yeah.
No, but you can think of an idea that's almost as good as that, and
like a pizzeria restaurant that's Garfield themed.
Again, that was shut down for copyright reasons. But you can get paid on time with professional on-brand invoices and online payments. You can streamline your workflow with stuff like appointment scheduling built right in and email marketing tools. And also, you don't have to know how to design something. You can be as lazy as Garfield because Squarespace also offers a complete library of professionally designed, award-winning website templates with options for every category and use, drag and drop editing, styling options, visual design effects, no experience required. So head to squarespace.com/flop for a free trial. And when you're ready to launch, use offer code FLOP to save 10% off your first purchase of a website or domain. Elliot, you do a lot of stuff. I bet there's something you want to mention.
Oh, on Squarespace?
Well, just your own personal
just the
plug.
stuff that I do. Yeah, well, I'll just plug the same stuff I've been plugging, I got there's a picture book I have out now called Sadie Mouse Wrecks the House. It's a fun romp for kids of all ages. And if you like that one, maybe you'd like to try one of my other picture books that have been out for a little bit, Horse Meets Dog or Sharko and Hippo, but Sadie Mouse Wrecks the House is a new one. Also, I still have Harley Quinn coming out from DC Comics every month. I've been enjoying writing that. I just handed in a script for what's going to be the 200th issue of if you combined all of Harley Quinn's series together. And it made me realize that this is already the longest run I've got to do on a series. And if keep buying them, I'll just be able to keep doing them. So I'm excited to be on a book for a fair amount of time. And I also have another book coming out in November, but I'll talk more about that later in the year. Stuart, what about you? What do you have to
Something to
promote?
say?
Well, I'll always promote my 3 bars here in Brooklyn, New York. That's Hinterlands Bar, Minnie's Bar, and now Commonwealth Bar. And also, if you are interested in kind of like hanging out chill zone style, I do a regular weekly painting stream on Twitch, usually at 1 o'clock p.m. New York time, where I just hang out on Twitch and I paint little Warhammer guys and I yap for a while and I answer questions in the chat. And it's a nice, fun, chill afternoon. And my Twitch name is Stuart Wellington. Easy to remember.
Sometimes I'll throw that on just so I can hear my friend Stuart's voice.
Yeah, it's
being
nice.
like, and Dan did this. And I was like, what?
And I'm sure, Dan, you also throw on my other podcast, Smartless Presents Clueless, to hear my voice, right?
Yeah, sure.
Smartless Presents Clueless, my puzzle podcast that I host and Sean Hayes is the star of. That's right, Sean Hayes from Will and Grace and Smartless. And it's the episodes are only about 12 to 15 minutes long, and it comes out twice a week, although I think we're going to a once-a-week schedule. Check out that one, too, if you like puzzle podcasts.
Guys, I need to have something else going on.
You do. We've told you that.
I mean, it's not like I'm not trying, but maybe we can figure something out. Maybe we can brainstorm.
I mean, maybe
Yeah.
use Squarespace to make a website where you just insert those weasels into all the different movies.
Oh, extra
I still think you should do.
weasels.com.
I think you should do a series of cooking videos on TikTok.
Yeah, I think you should do
That's
those.
the route to success for me, I'm
oh
sure.
no, yeah.
I mean, it's either that or videos where you eat ice cream out of a toilet and people don't realize it's a joke and they get really mad about it online.
There's gold to be had in that toilet.
I mean, it's a very popular genre of video.
How did I cut off the names of these people who
That's a good question.
sent us letters?
I mean, usually we just say the first name.
No, I know, but
Did Cher send in a letter so you don't know how to say last name withheld because
Yeah.
there's no last name?
no,
Madonna.
I when I cut and pasted this time around, I somehow did not get the names in here. What's going on, guys? What's going on with my brain? What happened to it?
Oh,
no.
boy.
That's the side text that Elliot and I have.
Okay, well, maybe you can let me in on what conclusions
Yeah, if we
you
come up with anything.
come to.
Yeah. So far, it's just been a lot of question marks. Yeah.
I apologize.
And shrug emojis.
I apologize very much to people who are not going to get their proper credit. But so this first letter is from question mark.
Question mark. If this is you, feel free to give us a
Last name,
0-star review.
Question
Yeah.
mark. Hi, floppers. I'm a faithful flop listener since 2014. And as a Parisian resident,
Oh,
I
wow.
was so excited when I saw your Under Paris episode drop into my feed. At one point,
What did
you
we,
were
what did
all
we
wondering.
get? What did we get wrong about Paris? Oh, boy.
No. At one point, you were all wondering if Jaws ever got released in France, and Stuart posited that it was called Le Jaws. It's actually known as Dents de la Mer, which you could translate literally as the teeth of the sea.
Ooh.
Pretty cool.
Anyway,
Yeah,
the real
very
mayor,
poetic.
the real mayor of Paris, Anne Hidalgo, took a swim in the Seine to prove to everyone that the river is swimmable, as it would be the site of the triathlon for the upcoming Olympic and Paralympic Games. Afterward, a newspaper ran a picture with her coming out of the water with a particularly toothy smile on her face. The headline read, Les Dents de la Mer, spelled M-A-I-R-E, meaning mayor. So,
Damn.
question.
Got him.
What's the best or worst pun you've ever seen from a movie critic about a movie they've seen? Or do you have any punny headlines
Fuck,
for any
let
of
me
your
pull up
Flophouse
my
movies?
saved Gene Shalit headlines.
Thanks for a decade of great content here. Well, it's more, 2 at this point. Here's 10 more. Come to Paris.
Oh,
We should do a show in Paris. Yeah.
uh-huh.
Yeah, what's stopping us?
I have to start finding venues in Paris to reach out to you.
If any venue in Paris would like to pay our travel fees and have us come over, we'll be happy to do it.
Do a show in the catacombs.
Yeah, that'd be
Oh,
super cool.
sick.
I don't know that I have actually an answer to this, but this was pretty.
This is
I
a
liked
hard
that.
one.
pun,
I'm a
that
sucker
French
for
pun.
all pun-related news or reviews.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah.
do you remember any?
No,
No,
I'm an idiot.
of course not.
I also, I'm also having
I
trouble
kind of
remembering
assumed you
ones.
guys would be all over this shit because you're like pun maniacs.
I think the one that I think the one that sticks with me the most. I
I
don't
feel
know about
like
a
your
favorite.
eulogies are going to be filled with puns.
Oh,
Yeah.
probably, yeah. I mean, we're not giving our own eulogies, but
You're
I mean,
not
unless
gonna
I'm
write-
giving Dan's and Dan's giving mine.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll swap eulogies. Crisscross.
It's
Applesauce.
crisscross. No motives. They can't catch whose eulogy is whose.
Yeah.
I remember when I was a kid, and I was a huge fan of those Ninja Turtles. I really loved them. The Ninja Turtles movie came out, and I cut out one of the newspaper ads because back in the old days, kids, if you wanted to know when a movie was playing, you had to look in the listings in the newspaper, and there'd be
Next to
little
Garfield.
ads. Yeah, next to Garfield. And there'd be little ads for each of the movies that would have quotes on them. And one of the quotes was from, I think, Joel Siegel for the Ninja Turtles movie, and I cut it out and it said, like, a shell of a good time. And
yeah.
as a kid, I didn't quite get it.
So was he saying it was negatively?
No,
It's
he's saying it's a hell of a good time.
Okay, because the pun, like, it seems like a shell of a good time would mean like it's a husk of a good time. It's not actually
but that's not
a
what he
good
was saying.
time.
I don't think anyone was thinking that deeply about it.
Yeah.
But that's the one that sticks in my mind the most, just because I think I had it on my room on the wall of my room when I was a kid. You know?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Well, that works.
Did you learn the whole ninja rap when you were a kid or no?
No, I did not learn the whole ninja rap. By that point, I think I was no longer such. I mean, I did go see it in the theaters multiple times.
With
and made
your
my
grandma,
grandmother go
right?
to see
Yeah.
it. Yeah, I made her go to see it when I wanted to see it a third time, I think. But I did not memorize. Even by the time the ninja rap came on, I was like, this is not what I come to the Ninja Turtles for.
Sure.
Is Vanilla Ice rapping this song? Now I love it though.
Yeah.
Come to this place for Ninja Turtles.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Somehow
Nicole Kidman,
raps about
yeah.
ninjas feel good in a place like this.
Okay. Well, again, apologies. This is from question mark.
And I just want to mention, again, this is not a matter of editorial control. This is not because we don't want to say your names. This is merely that Dan made a mistake.
Yeah, and I could not find. I did make an effort to try and find the unedited emails.
Afterwards,
How
he's
big
going
an
to
effort?
have to.
Well, we're taping right now. I sort of wanted to keep us moving.
Because that
He's
last
gonna-
one seemed like there were very some specific French words you could have searched for, and not a lot of emails would have come up. But
Yeah, after this, he's going to have to put on the Flophouse official hair shirt.
Yeah, right in, guys.
What's that thing where you
or
have to sit on the like?
whomever.
on a pole in the desert. that one?
Yeah, or like, and they put weights on your ankles.
Oh, that's a different thing.
If these emails are from you, please write in, and
This
I
is a good
will
time for someone to
rectify it later on.
Someone could get some stolen valor, write in and say it was their email, and really it wasn't. Yeah.
I've wanted to write in forever, as your podcast was one of my saving graces when I was getting chemo for Hodgkin's disease in my late 20s. And again, when I required mental health services, it truly helped me through some trying times, and I've wanted to thank you for years.
I really appreciate that we could be there for you. I hope you're feeling better now, and I just wish you had a name that we could
what I
know
was gonna
about.
say.
You know? It's just too bad your identity is lost to history.
Unfortunately,
Ladies over here.
Obviously, we played a very meaningful part in your life, and that means a lot to me. It makes my heart swell, and I just wish that Dan felt the same amount of importance towards you and could even remember to put your name in.
I'm really. Let's see.
Now he's spiraling, dude.
Oh,
No, I can't find it. I mean, here's the real reason. We have so much mail in the inbox that I need to clear it out, and once I
see.
do a letter, it gets deleted. So that's.
I see.
I thought maybe
Well,
it would be saved. But
Whoever you
it's-
are, I can't wait to hear the rest of your letter, and thank you very much for listening to us during those times. I'm glad that we could help you through them.
Yes, it was.
I just wish that we would ever find who this person was.
I
you know?
appreciated hearing this so much, and I feel so bad. Anyway, unfortunately, I felt that I needed to tie these thanks into a real question, which I could never come up with. I finally got it. Roy Scheider, or more precisely, Scheider had an epic run in the
More precisely, Shoy Ryder, his mirror name.
Scheider had an epic run in the 70s with Clute, the 7-Ups, the French Connection, the Marathon Man, Marathon Man, Jaws, Sorcerer, and all that jazz. Perhaps my favorite film. I don't feel that he's ever really gotten his due for that. Do you, folks? Can you think of any other actors or actresses with so much greatness and so little recognition? I actually just recently watched the 7-Ups for the first time and saw the amazing car chase sequence in that thing. Like, I think I liked it more than like the famous like Bullet and French Connection ones, actually. And I had the same thought. I was like, oh, Roy Scheider was on fire for like a very, like this like span of time, and now I don't think he's like talked about. I can see in your eyes, Elliot, you're imagining Roy Scheider literally being on fire.
Well, just the fact that it
I just
rhymed.
remember when they put him in NBA Jam.
Yeah, Roy Scheider Turbo Mode was on fire. Yeah.
Yeah, he's crazy.
But I had the same thought. Like he isn't really talked about the same way.
I was literally just talking to one of my bar regulars today. I think he was either a camera operator or a PA on something with Roy Scheider, and he was talking about how Roy Scheider was very professional and like he was very calm, like he was a very still guy on set until the action rolled. He was my regular was really impressed working with him.
Mm-hmm. I mean, I think what it speaks to partly is how many movies used to get made and how many different kinds of movies and the different kinds of people who could be movie stars. Not that Roy Scheider is not, he's a handsome white man who does adventure movies a lot of the time. Like, it's not like he's that breaking the mold that much, but that you had so many movies. Like, can you imagine, I don't have someone in particular who comes to mind that answers the question exactly. Because there are a number of actors who had a great run, and I feel like as they get towards the end of their lives, they start to get a little more recognition. Like I feel like people didn't talk about Gene Hackman for a while, and then he passed, and then suddenly people were talking about what an amazing actor he was in his run of movies.
Yeah.
But like something you hear a lot is, maybe not as much as it used to, was, can you believe that Elliot Gould used to be a star who would carry movies? This guy, and you watch those movies and you're like, yeah, I can believe it. He's amazing. He's an amazing actor. He's got amazing charisma. Like, he has a great run of movies, so I can believe it.
Yeah, but he's just the dad of Ross and Monica. Right?
That's surely his crowning achievement. Yeah.
I mean, here's the thing, but that's specifically about like. Let's be clear. Elliot Gould is a handsome man with like a lot of charisma, but he's handsome in a very like specific, like kind of goofier way that I think people are talking about. Like now, like big movie stars have to be beautiful, like leading men movie stars have to be beautiful.
But there's a I don't know, not always, but
not always. But I think that's what people are saying. They're not like, can you believe this guy? This
no, but it's never said.
Hunk of
no, but it's
meat.
never. Or like they'll say the same thing about like Donald Sutherland, who also passed relatively recently. Where it's like, instead of saying I feel like it often gets said, and it's a different point than the question is making. Instead of saying, "Oh man, things were so much," the variety of movies we had when these guys were big movie stars. Instead, it comes off as like, can you believe there was a time when people would settle for Donald Sutherland or Elliot Gould when they could have had a Harrison Ford? Like, come on, guys. Which is, I think, is not the right way to look at it. But that's the nature of, you could say it's the nature of fame, It's the bitch goddess. It gives you, it gives and then it takes away, and you can't guarantee you're going to be around forever.
Well, it was like there was during the third season of the White Lotus, there was some weird discourse on the internet about dudes being like, you think Walton Goggins is a sex symbol? I'm like, yeah, dude. Look at that guy.
Yeah, I mean, well, I think that also just straight men being straight men, like, can't wrap their heads around the idea of, like, charisma not just being like, oh, this is the handsomest man. This is the most clearly handsome man. I mean, like, he's a handsome guy. I'm not saying that he isn't, but, like, there's something interesting about him in the same way that, like, I think it's obvious for us, like, you're not just attracted to like the most obviously beautiful person. There's someone who's interesting.
Yeah, it's like when I was watching Fatal Beauty, directed by Tom Holland, friend of the show, Tom Holland, and Sam Elliott gives
Spider-Man himself.
Yeah, Whoopi Goldberg, and Sam Elliott plays the like love interest, and Sam Elliott is so fucking hot in this movie.
He really is.
It's like,
well, but that's the thing. Sam Elliott is hot. I mean, that's the like.
It's more than just him being being like good looking. He just like he sells this shit so well. Like he's got so much fucking charm.
There's just this warmth.
It's like oozing out of my fucking laptop screen.
Okay, well, sorry again about the names. Please write in. But now we'll move on.
Sorry about not really answering that last question, but it's okay. We talked about something.
Yeah, you wouldn't. And
I got to talk about Sam Elliott being super hot.
as our friends at Jordan Jesse Go say, what is a podcast if not saying words? And we certainly did that.
Yeah.
But let's recommend some movies that maybe would be a better use of your time. Hey, I have an animated movie to recommend. I actually highlighted this in
Legend of the Overfiend.
I mentioned this in Flop Secrets.
Sounds like I saw something that I just found. It just felt like it was really saying something to me about the human condition. It's called Ninja Scroll.
No,
So good.
I want to recommend a movie by legendary animator Richard Williams, The Thief and the Cobbler. I watched the recobbled cut. I had seen huge chunks of this before, but I don't think I'd ever sat down and watched it, all the way through. And part of that's because, so this was a project that he worked on for decades and decades, and it originally was released in a chopped up version that he did not like at all by Miramax. It was like taken away from him. And then there was this recobbled cut, which is fan cut, putting together, the best elements that exist to get it closer to what Williams intended. And when I say best elements, like, some of it is literally just like animatics or sketches. But what exists is astounding still. It is like he was a genius animator, and it doesn't really work that well as a narrative, but as a work of visual beauty and animation skill, it's amazing. So that's what I'm recommending.
I'm recommending a movie by one Rowdy Harrington, 1988's Jack's Back. This is the movie before Roadhouse, and I would say it is not as good as Roadhouse. I'm not going to go out there and make crazy claims. But this is a movie set in Los Angeles where there's a serial killer going around on the 100-year anniversary of the Jack the Ripper crimes, committing mirror crimes, but in Los Angeles, which is weird. The movie kind of abandons that part of the premise about halfway through. James Spader is in it, and he's, James Spadering it up. There's a surprise twins reveal, not the movie Twins, but characters that are twins.
Oh, they don't reveal that they're actually in the movie Twins.
It is maybe it's a wild ride.
Yeah. Do the weasels show up?
The weasels, I think they do. I'd have to go frame by frame. I will point out that Robert Picardo is in it, playing like a psychologist. And man, there's somebody else that was in it that was really great.
Everyone's favorite gremlin love object.
Oh yeah, Chris Mulkey's in it. Oh man, yeah, 2 thumbs up. Yeah, exactly. Mr. Greta Gremlin himself, Robert Picardo. So what I would say is it's not Roadhouse, but it's still a fun time at the movies. Go check out Jack's Back.
I'm going to recommend another fun time at the movies. This is a Japanese movie from 1963 called An Actor's Revenge, directed by Kon Ichikawa. This is one I'd been looking forward to seeing for a long time and had never gotten around to it. And I finally watched it, and it's super fun. It's set in 19th century Japan, or maybe it's early 20. No, I think it's late 19th century Japan. And the main character is an actor who specializes in female roles and always has kind of like a feminine kind of like a carriage to him, carries himself as a woman most of the time. But secretly, despite being an acclaimed actor, he is also on a mission of vengeance against the 3 men who ruined his father and drove his father and mother to insanity and death. And so he is now in the town where these 3 men are, and he's going to use all of his wiles and cunning in order to bring them to an end. And there's also a bunch of different thieves running around who all have different gimmicks and are very fun.
Elliot, you have sold this movie so hard to me.
It's great, and it looks beautiful. It's this 60s color. It's very non-naturalistic. It's very kind of expressive, and it's a super fun movie. But it also has a serious message about the emptiness of spending your life seeking vengeance against people. So that's An Actor's Revenge. I really enjoyed it. I highly recommend it.
Well, that's been it. Another episode of Flophouse, that is.
Time to unroll that anchovy can and climb into it and put on our little acorn caps.
Yep.
We're also tiny. Yeah, we use a dust bunny as a stuffy. Yeah.
If you enjoy this podcast, why not check out MaximumFun.org, where there's a ton of other great podcasts on our same network. Thanks to them for supporting us. Thanks to you for supporting us. Thanks to our producer, Alex, for supporting us by editing the thing and making it sound good.
He goes by Howell Doughty on the internet.
Yeah. But for the Flophouse, I've been Dan McCoy.
I'm Stuart Wellington.
And I'm Elliot Kalin.
And we are
The Flophouse?
And I'm Elliot Kalin.
And I'm Stuart Wellington.
Dan McCoy.
Produced by
Alex Smith.
On Maximum Fun, oodles of casts for your noodle. Bye. Just fucking grip it and rip it, baby.
Let's rip that, and then also let's rip
both
that.
Rip and rip. But first, let me say to you, 1,
2,
3.
We gripped it, and it was ripped.
Yep, those
Let's
three
kick
numbers were gripped and ripped.
Let's kick some tires, light some fires.
Sure, I guess. And here we go. It starts like this.
Maximum Fun,
a worker-owned network
of artist-owned shows.
supported
directly
by you.